Yo, what's up, ComPODres? Welcome back to another episode. It is your host with the most from the West Coast, SB Press, reporting live from Mastermind Media. As always, to my right, Lance the Man himself.
Yep.
And also to my right, Rizad and his out himself.
How you guys doing?
Gotta definitely want to give a shout out to CB. He's in the place to be today, but he's moving on to bigger and better things, man.
Sir.
Just gotta
Congrats,
say
brother.
congratulations to
Thank
you,
you,
man.
man.
Of course, it's gonna be all over the social medias and stuff like that, and I'm sure future is bright for you, kid. Definitely want to go ahead and say we got a new addition to the team. Let's go ahead and bring in the queen. Go ahead and let the people at home know who you be. Hello.
I'm Jaima and the new podcast producer.
Hey.
Happy to be on.
Nice.
We look forward to working with you because there's
We
going to be a lot of
appreciate
fire.
Cisco, appreciate you, brother. And
sure.
like that,
Appreciate you,
ComPODres,
man.
let's go.
Let's go.
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get it.
How do you feel LeBron breaking the record of most points scored in NBA history ranks above all the other records in other sports?
Well, it depends where you're at, what sports you're a fan of not. I mean, you look at the most passing yards in NFL history, most home runs hit. I mean, it's all into one, I think. It's a great accomplishment, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, my hat's off to him. I'm happy for him. That's amazing what he did. And the best thing is, for me, is now Russell Westbrook is gone, so I'm even more happier.
That's breaking news that just happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't wait to get that out.
So that's perfect. That makes me happy. My hat's off to him.
I look at it like this. It took him 20 years to break that record.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean that's dedication, consistency, and
Right.
for anybody to do something for 20 years to come out on top.
Not everybody can do that. I mean, Kareem had a
Hats
long
off.
career too.
Absolutely.
So, my hat's off to him.
Now,
So.
follow up on that. Do you guys think that there's anyone alive that can break that record?
No.
Or do you think the person has to be conceived and then they?
No, I mean, it might be coming. We don't know what's going to happen, man. I mean, because the game is just going to change and evolve, and it's going to be easier. I mean,
Yeah.
It's all different games in all the three sports we just talked about, so we'll see what happens.
Well, and he's going to play for another couple years, so he's probably going to stretch that out to 40 plus.
Oh, yeah.
And if now they changed the rule, right? So now this year you can come out of high school. It's next coming up.
Right.
Year. You don't have to one and done.
back now.
So that was LeBron's advantage. He came straight out of high school, so he was 18 coming into the league to be able to be there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Versus Kareem, who
All 4 years of college.
4 years of college, then
That's
came
8,000
into the
points
league.
right there alone.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe coming down the pipeline, somebody's conceived and can break the record, but he's putting it out there pretty far for sure.
Yeah, it's going to get stretched out. So let's go ahead, ComPODres, and stretch out this intro. We got an awesome, amazing individual today. The man with the master plan.
Okay, yeah, we get that. Okay.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but this guy, he's very, very big in what we do here today and every week. This guy, without further ado, is Mark Rodriguez, a.k.a. Emrod. Thank you. Oh, he got real situated. Thank you for being with us.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up?
No, we're all good. I'm just talking left field. Left field and Rizzo. We got our
Okay.
own shit going on.
Hey, it feels good to be at the table, man.
Okay.
It's nice to have you at the table.
You've been on the
Welcome,
show
brother,
so many
welcome.
times already.
Right?
And I know I jumped in maybe just one, behind the scenes. I came in once, told the story.
He had a weirdo of the week for us before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
It's a good weirdo of the week, too.
They've heard it. They've heard your voice too.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and pick that mastermind brain of yours, brother.
Okay.
Would you like to let the audience at home know where did it all start for you? Where are you originally from, man?
Where it all started. So from just west of Detroit originally, right? So
Westland, right?
Westland, Michigan. Yeah, we have a mall.
Yeah.
I went back to that mall not too long ago, and it's just tough, man. It's tough to be a mall in 2023. Man, you gotta. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. It is, right? It's gonna be interesting to see what happens if there's a lot of talk of what could be done with those. But yeah, Westland, Michigan, moved to LA at the age of 20. This guy about 4 months into moving here. So about 6 months before I ended up moving here, I came to LA with my dad. I'm like, am I gonna like it? Am I not gonna like it? Came to LA and we stayed in West Hollywood, walked up to Sunset Boulevard, and I was like, okay, Yep. This is for me. So, but the crazy thing about that trip is, you know, I'm a gambling man.
I would rephrase that. You were a gambling man.
Let us know.
You don't gamble anymore.
I wouldn't say that.
Me, on the other hand, that's a different story.
I wouldn't say I don't gamble. I wouldn't say I don't gamble. I just don't gamble the same with chips.
Yeah. Or tickets.
Yeah.
Trying to take a scratch offs?
Yeah.
No,
not even that. No. So I was a poker player, like a 5-night a week house games in Michigan, and like I was working at a go-kart batting cage and miniature golf place. I was working at UPS waiting tables, just trying to save up 10 grand. Was like, I need 10 grand. I can move to LA.
Right. And
so as I was doing that, I would go to the casino all the time. Right. So sometimes I would work 1 or 2 jobs and then go to the casino, or 1 or 2 jobs and go play a house game of Texas Hold'em. Right. That was like huge in that day. And one night we went to the bar in Canada. So in Detroit, right, it's like 30 minutes. You go over the border. You're only 19. You can drink over there. Yeah. Windsor. Yeah.
Windsor, yeah.
So we used to do that a few nights a week, because there's nothing else to do. But at that age, but one night I went there, and my buddy, he took a nap in his car, because we went to the bar first. He's like, I'm just gonna chill in here. I'm like, I'm gonna go gamble. I went and play blackjack, and I went and played for about 8 hours.
That's a nice run.
Nice little run. 7 a.m. in the morning, I come and knock on his door. He's like waking up. I'm like, damn. He's like, bullshit. Tell me how much you won. I was like, 2,100. And he's like, you son of a. As we're driving home, my mom calls me. She's like, where the hell are you at? And I was like, I was at work, because
a whole work shift. A whole work shift. 8 hours. Yeah.
And she said, is it good news or bad news? I said, it's great news. I got home. I counted out some of the 2,100. I said, get me and Dad tickets to LA to go check it out. And then we flew out here, and I loved it, and it was like, okay, this is the game plan. And then I just turned 20. I moved here December 5th, 2005.
Okay.
And that's where it all began. But I started off as wanting to come here for acting, and luckily coming to LA, there's so much opportunity out here. It ended up parlaying into other creative facets, and then into a business, a couple years later.
Hey man, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
2011, July 1st, Mastermind created, right?
So the story of Mastermind is really interesting, because it started off as Mastermind Entertainment. And my friend Eddie and I were talking about creating some kind of production company to do music videos and just digital content. And we had heard that Childish Gambino had used the Wu-Tang name generator to name his company's, or his name, his artist name. And so we started putting our names in there, and then Mastermind Entertainment came out.
Oh, wow.
But Mastermind with an I was already taken. Right, so we changed it with a Y, and it started, and we did one music video, and it kind of fizzled out. And then went back to normal life. I was waiting tables, doing all that. But the actual start date, that was probably 2016. I started doing Mastermynd Media, and I was like, oh, that kind of works even better. Right. And so
the concept kind of just came together around that time, huh?
It did. So I had always had the acting. I started doing hosting. I started doing music. I started running live shows all around town. But I was waiting tables and doing that. So I was around Hollywood. I was meeting all of these different individuals. I did AfterBuzz TV. I was a host for like 5 years. So I met all of these different people, and my network was very wide, but it didn't have depth to it. Gotcha. So I always see my 20s as time that I could see and try everything out there. And then eventually I was like, okay, let me focus on one thing to find some depth in that. And then, so it literally was like the width, and then I narrowed it down, and then now since then it's really made sense. But I had a moment where I was like, okay, I'm only focusing on acting. I'm gonna write a script, and that's gonna be a vehicle for me to become my acting self that I've always dreamed of. And then I had this idea one day. I was in my apartment, and I was on Snapchat. And I was like, I want to play guitar and sing a song on Snapchat, but you can't play guitar and hold the button down on Snapchat. Right. So I was like what could I do? I need to hold the button down. I was like, wait a second. So I grabbed my guitar capo. A capo goes on the fretboard. It like holds the fret. So it's like I had a higher key or whatever. It's like a simpler way of playing the guitar. And so I grabbed that and I put it on my phone. and it pressed down where the button was, but it didn't hold the button because it was rubber. And I was like, what the f? And I was like, wait a second, I need something that feels like a thumb. This is my thought process. So I was in the kitchen, I was like looking around, and I saw a loaf of bread. So I grabbed the loaf of bread, I cut a piece of the bread off. What the f? And I taped it to the guitar capo. What? And it worked. And I had this moment, I was like, am I brilliant or am I an idiot?
Innovation at its finest, man.
That's got to be the strangest story you've ever told me. I've known you for a long time, including when you had them highlights and shit.
When I met Joe, it was so hard to get Joe to like me when I first came into Buca de Beppo.
I'm like, who's this little punk ass kid?
I had long hair. I had highlights. 20. There's a clip. Take that, Cisco. Yeah. But yeah, just to finish the guitar capo thing. So I did that with the bread, and I taped it to it. I got pictures. I'll send it to you guys. And it worked. And I was like, holy shit, is this brilliant or am I an idiot? So I started playing a song, but I would take it and I would hold it and I would put it down and I would start playing. And then people started DMing me like, how the hell are you do? This is Snapchat 2015, 2016.
Right.
How the hell are you doing hands-free videos? And so I deleted everything. I quit my job. I sold everything that I owned and started couch surfing, living out of my 92 Lexus at the time that I stole from a friend of ours, Teddy.
You know, we could have a whole segment just on him alone with his stories.
Here, huh?
You know that, right?
Highlights.
Yeah.
I got rid of the highlights eventually.
No, you did. It was actually pretty quick. That's when we met Teddy.
Oh wow.
But yeah, so I sold everything, went all in on this business. So this was the time, so basically my 20s, trying all these different lanes of creativity and entertainment. And then I learned, I had this lesson through this was focus on one thing for a certain amount of time and it's more likely to come true. Because listen, it's testing. That doesn't mean it's true for everybody, but like after you do a million things for about 8 years, it's like, all right, let's focus on one thing and see what happens. And then that's when I built a business around this. I started building pitch decks for it. I started acquiring, I started bringing some friends on that were entrepreneurs. Mark Spitz is a good friend of mine. He's in like the 72 Olympics. He was a guest at the restaurant I worked at on Sunset Boulevard. And I told him about it. He's like, let's make something out of this. So I built this team around people that believed in my vision, and we kept on building, figuring out where we're going to make it, make it in Sun Valley, California, how much it's going to cost, how much money we needed to raise. So my business mind started formulating and something I didn't have before. Cause like when I met Joe in 2006, I was like, I was talented, but I was like cocky dude from Detroit. I said,
you finally admit you were cocky. You finally admitted all that.
We got it.
Wow. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It only took him 15 years where the it was.
It takes a lot to move from a state to another state and survive.
Yeah. I know,
So
but
that's
he's
where
never
that-
admitted
So
that.
that was like that was my oomph to get here. Yeah. So after about a year of creating this business plan and getting to the point where we're about to raise the $250K that we wanted, that was like the minimum we needed, Snapchat's functionality changed, where you could just slide the button over, which was always the biggest risk we were aware of.
Right.
And I lost everything.
Oh man.
And I was like, what do I do? Like I have this newfound information. I know how to create an idea and like articulate it to business people to like raise funds and whatnot. But like, let me just go back to waiting tables and then, figure things out. And I was staying at my friend's house in Encino, California. And he was like, hey, you want to run my Instagram? I saw you were able to build a following. And I was like, nah, I'm going back to waiting tables, just get back to auditioning and whatnot. It's been like a crazy year. And then I was like, actually, how much would you pay me for that? He's like, $200 a week. And I didn't have any expenses. And I was staying at his house for another 2 months before his daughter was born. And I was like, it, let's do it. Had my first Instagram account. He grew by 6,000 the first month. He referred me to a restaurant. The restaurant paid me like another 1,800 a month. I'm like, oh shit, it's all coming together. Right. And from there, I started building Mastermynd Media. At that, eventually, that was the time where I was like, well, I guess we got to call this something. And then I was like, well, Mastermind Entertainment. What about Mastermynd Media? And then it was born. So it was almost accidental.
That was one of the best accidents I ever heard of.
I still remember that time when you were doing all that, and you're like, hey man, pick me up over at Gelson's, and I show up and the one thing people don't know about Mark is he can get a little thuggy on your ass. Like
Rugged thuggish bone over here, huh?
He can be real genuine tough. And he goes, hold on, man, just stand right by me. And like this dude was late paying him. He goes, mother, you got my damn money. I'm just like, oh shit, shit's about ready to go down. This mother. Yeah, I get it. That shit was funny though.
I said that?
Yeah, you said that. Okay, I might have twisted a little bit. But
You might have turned it up. Yeah.
Well, no. Behind him, you know.
He was behind his payment. That's one thing. If you owe me money, I'm going to find it.
Meet him out of Gelson's.
Yeah.
Hey man, I wanted to ask you, what would you tell someone that's like watching and listening to this right now? Like the tools that they have now, how do they, get into the industry, the entertainment industry, and try to build in socials and all this stuff? What suggestions would you give them?
So I would say right now we have the internet. The internet, if used properly, you can build leverage that will allow you to control your career.
Right.
I would say you have to have more patience than you can even imagine, because if you don't have patience, all of this hard work, all this stuff, you're going to get burned out. Yeah. So number one, you have to love what you do. Number two, you have to have the patience so that you work your ass off like you need it tomorrow, but you have the patience so that you don't even need it for another 15 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Gary Vee talks about like pulling from opposite directions, and those two opposite directions, when you pull from both opposite directions, it like literally allows you to be happy in the journey. Because people talk, live in the now, just be happy in the journey. It's like, well, you can
Right.
if you have the patience, like you don't need it tomorrow,
Right.
but you're working your ass off like you do.
Right.
Because so if you love what you do and you're working really hard, you're going to continuously get better. But the thing about it is, if you are focused on one goal, it's tough because every time something goes wrong, you feel it, right? Like if it like chisels you into being like a stronger person, but that shit hurts.
It does.
But if you live in this cloudy world of like, oh, I'm trying to figure things out or whatever, you don't really feel those negativities or like the downfalls or the doubts or all that. You don't really feel it because you're just living in this happy world.
Right.
Pressureless.
Yeah. But once you like define where you're going, then it's like, oh my gosh, every bad beat hurts you. I'm just gonna use casino terms.
Everybody looks at me every time he drops one of them like I'm some
Yo, you remember that?
No, I'm telling you, we can have a whole segment on gambling.
Man,
with
I
you.
love
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
And we're not going to do that. Let's go on.
You were getting good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so once you define, so here's the thing is once you define what you're going to do,
Right.
and then you learn how much hard work it actually takes, and then you have the patience, that's the formula for success. And it doesn't matter at that point what you're doing. But a lot of times, even if you have those things figured out, right, you can't have too many other expenses, because if you have more expensive stuff that you have to pay for while you're doing that, I don't have a car right now. Right. I sold that 92 Lexus, finally went kaput, and I sold it for $150. That was during the beginning of the pandemic. And I never bought another car because I'm like, I don't need it. Why do I need another $400, $500 payment? And like business is good, but like that's something else I have to pay every month.
Right,
and then you have insurance, and it's just gonna sit in my garage just so I could say like, no, I have a car. Yeah, I have a car. Look, people, look at society. I have a car. I'm doing well.
Listen to this,
You don't need you don't need anything you don't actually need.
Right.
So look at your life, see what you need. I literally became a minimalist. My first office, I turned my bedroom into the office. My first assistant that I ever hired, she was there one day. I've never even told her this story. I hired an assistant and we worked from my place during the beginning of the pandemic. And I would say, hey, we're just working on things, whatever. And one day she said, hey, do you spend more time in here or in your room? And it was the same thing, but she didn't know it. I didn't want to with the dynamic. So I was like, yeah, probably in here. It was this table. This is the table that it was.
So this table has got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on it.
All of them.
All of them.
No matter what you want to, no matter what you want to do, once you build that formula, right, and you figure out what works, and then you quiet down the outside noise of anybody saying, no, this is how you should do it. This is how you should do it. Don't take any information or advice from anyone that doesn't have what you want down the road. And make sure the people you are listening to have what you want, but make sure what you want is actually something beneficial for your future. It's not like, wow, they have everything. They have like expensive things. They have like this. That's not it. Because that with the vision. And if you're the vision, it's not what is actually on your mind, what you actually want. So that was the formula for me. And then for me, I was able to pivot whenever necessary. If like business, I bought all this podcast equipment, and most of it, probably $7,000 worth, when I had about $7,400. I'm like, let me just spend all this money on this. I don't have much more expenses. And then the pandemic hit. Now I just spent all this money. People can't even come over. So I was like, what do I do? It's forced me to think outside the box. We created another podcast package called the Zoomcast, where somebody else could be on Zoom, interview somebody else on Zoom, and they would send me the video. We put a graphic overlay over it and then put that out into the world as video and audio. So I bought everything, and then it would have failed if I would just said, I guess I can't do it. But I said, no, let's think about this. How else could we sell it? And we sold like 4 of those like within the first week, because all these people that had money had more time now. So now that's another $10,000 in revenue that we would have not had if I was just like, nope, I was sticking to the original plan. Be able to pivot, figure it out.
That's fire.
That's a nice voice.
Thanks.
Did you practice that before this? Nah, man, that's great knowledge you just
Cooking
gave out.
up.
This great passion.
That even makes sense. I feel like I had a Kanye moment.
I
With
think
these things
it
at different
does.
moments.
No.
It was made a lot of sense, man.
You always make sense, Mark.
Thank you, man.
I want to say a statement, man. Tell me what you think. Follow your plan, not your mood.
Whew. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Where do we go from there? Elaborate. What do you think about that?
Follow your plan, not your mood. That mood can mess you up.
Right.
Man, mood is everything.
Yeah, but the thing is, like when you have a plan, if it doesn't go well, your mood's gonna change. But you have to inject optimism into your mood, because if I have this plan, right, and the plan's gonna go wrong.
Right.
In producing, we say a lot of times we say, what can go wrong will go wrong, right? But so you have to be ready for what's gonna go wrong. And if your mood changes because it didn't work out, and you just sit on that, you're not gonna figure it out.
Right.
But if you inject optimism, like, okay, it's gonna work out. It always works out one way or another. I'm either gonna learn from it, or we're gonna make this happen. If you inject optimism in everything you do, you're going to figure it out. The negative times, the bad times that I wouldn't have made it through, that forced me to see it in a different way. Where, I have a video I talked about the time where I had like a few $100s to my name.
Right.
I was couch surfing until I got this client where I was like, okay, I can afford to move in somewhere. And the place that I moved in already had furniture. Yes.
We furnished. Okay.
I didn't have anything. No deposit. $800 a month in North Hollywood.
Oh, I've been there a couple times.
You have, yeah.
We shot an audition there. I
You
booked
booked
that
it.
motherfucker.
I was just
I remember
talking
that
about
little ass space.
It was.
Yeah, no, but you know what? You
Killing
built
it.
it. You built it. Look where you're at now.
Yeah,
You know?
it was a nice little townhouse, whatever. I had a couple roommates.
That's fine.
I moved in there within the first month. Something caught up to me. The place I lived previously, that wasn't my car or wasn't like a couch for more than a week or something like that. I was living somewhere and I was like, everything's cool. I get a knock at the door and I went and answered the door. I said, yeah, hey, what's up? Hey, you Mark Rodriguez? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, you've been served.
Oh.
Discover served me because I didn't pay the $2,000 or whatever. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever that means. Like, out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
I'm in the new place in North Hollywood a couple years later, and all of a sudden I get a notification on my phone that my bank account is empty and it's frozen. And I only had like maybe $1,100 or something like that, and my rent's $800, and so now I have nothing, and I'm like, oh my God, like what the hell am I gonna do? And at that point, I couldn't ask people for things.
Right.
I couldn't get out of my own way. But there's a funny thing about those dark times where you have to figure it out.
Yes.
Your back's against the wall. So many people are so comfortable that they don't ever actually figure out or strategize and execute to what's necessary to fully grow. But when you have your back against the wall and you say, I have to figure it out, you figure it out.
You do.
And I called Teddy. I could only ask for $100. Hey, get $100 just so I could eat the next couple of days. Right. I was eating like $3.37 mini meals from McDonald's. And I called the place. And she's like, you can never, the place, meaning like the law firm that sued me. I was like, listen, I just made up this whole thing. I started acting like I was crying on the phone. They're like, we never give the money back. You can't. And then somehow I convinced her. She gave me the money back.
What?
But not only that, it was like a couple weeks later where they weren't even going to be able to give me anything. So I still had to figure it out. So my back's against the wall. I'm like acting like I'm crying on the phone. Like, no, yeah, I just am trying to do. And then she's like, okay, let me see what I can do. We can do it, but it's going to be in a few weeks or whatever. I'm like, I still have to figure it out. I sold 3 social media accounts.
Dang, hustling.
One for $8.95, one for $17.95, one for $21.95. If I wouldn't have had my back against the wall, I wouldn't have had to figure it out.
Right.
I would have coasted and we probably wouldn't be here today. Yeah. So if something negative is happening to you, put your back against the wall and say, all right, let's figure this out. What do I got? What do I know? What are my talents? Who do I know? Who could I ask for guidance? Who could I pull from? Who could I ask for a favor? You start having to think about it.
Absolutely.
Versus just being like, oh yeah, business is good. Yeah, it's fine.
Wow, Mark,
Sacrifice.
you just dropped it. That's some real ass shit right there.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by it.
I'm an open.
That's sacrifice.
Very
right there,
impressed
I've been
by it.
there, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, that's some deep ass shit.
know.
Now let me ask you a question. What's your most embarrassing moment in your life?
Jeez.
June.
Most embarrassing moment of my
Man, I
life.
even got them laughing over there. You
I
didn't
got
expect
too
that
many
one,
of
did
those,
you?
but I want to hear you.
So put this on in 4K real quick.
The first thing that came to mind was when I didn't hit on 15. No, I'm just, man, what's my most? Man, I need a little bit of. Let me think for a second. You ever have an embarrassing moment and you're like, let me put that in my back pocket in case anybody ever asks. Let me think for a second.
Man, and that's a quick on the spot because it's so embarrassing moments.
Here, the most embarrassing is tough.
Okay.
Just something that's on theme based on what happened in those years leading up to building something.
Right.
I had the 92 Lexus, right?
Yeah, I'd love this. I got you. I knew I will throw something at you.
Oh, you got some? You got some embarrassing moments?
No, I do. I already know, but see, you had to sit there. You didn't expect me to say that. I want to see what this is.
Oh yeah, I'll just give you one. If I think of more, I'll give you. But so when you have this old ass car and this hot ass sun, things start melting.
Sure.
And something happened in the Lexus where my window wouldn't come down, and I was going to pick up somebody. We're gonna get some fast food on the way, and my buddy gets in the car, and he tries to close the door on the right hand side. I'm like, I'm trying to keep it presentable, right? And I pull up to his place, and he tries to close it. The door doesn't close all the way. It's like, and it's open a little way. So he opens it, and he grabs the interior of it, like where you're actually supposed to pull from, and he just rips the inside of the Lexus, and it was just like holding the panel inside, and I was like, yeah, man, that's just how we roll. But I was like living in that thing. I'm trying to think if there's.
That's your house at that point.
Yeah. And
we're from Michigan, so I know, dude. Like cars are rust buckets, and we see all that. So
wait, hold on. What'd you say?
What about the time you almost killed yourself?
Hold on. Let's. That's a really funny one. Well, can you tell them who that is? Right?
Elaborate on that. That's deeper.
That's
deep.
Ooh, it's a good. I mean, it's a story.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So as I was living in and out of my car, I had this time. I would also. See how much I want to say in front of her. She did pull it out of me.
You might as well introduce her at this point because she's going to be a part of this podcast from now on.
Right.
Everybody, Jai Ma.
Hey.
Raise the roof.
Add some applause and post.
Add some applause. There you go.
Welcome. Definitely.
Appreciate you being a part of the team.
For sure.
I appreciate the whole thing we were doing earlier in here, talking some shit. She's funny as shit, bro. I think she's funnier than you, Mark.
What's up for debate?
Let's do it.
I like how it's like, hey, what's the most embarrassing thing? Remember the time you almost accidentally killed yourself?
I was accidentally.
Yeah. This was an interesting time. So I had just done a movie a short film called Elevated Remedies. I think you've seen it. Have you seen it? Yeah.
No.
And the opening scene is a guy on a rooftop with a gun in his mouth about to kill himself, right? And what happens is right before he was about to pull the trigger, he's crying, it's dark out, this is my character. And all of a sudden he sees another man about to jump off the ledge. And he stops what he's doing, he puts it down, and he goes and saves the other person. And that's where the story begins, right? We had just putting that out, got a lot of success with it. People started understanding like, oh, these guys actually have something good to say.
And you wrote this, huh?
I acted and produced it.
No, it was really good,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, so it's like a 15-minute short film. We won a contest in Detroit that sent us to Sundance in 2018. It was like our first big moment into the game.
Ooh,
and
we're gonna get there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Continue where you were.
So I was like ripping and running those days, trying to figure things out. Some days sleeping in the car, some days sleeping at friend's house, some days sleeping at women I was speaking to. And and one morning I was sleeping in my car, and then Paris, my brother-in-law, hit me. He's like, hey, can you make some changes on this lookbook? So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to LA Fitness in Studio City. I'll do it when I get there, right? Because I'm going there to shower, because I didn't have anywhere else to shower. So I pull up, it's like 6 a.m. and I go in the parking structure all the way down, like maybe like two times down to the garage. And it's an open area, but it's confined by like the cement walls that you're in. I'm right in a corner. And I'm in a 1992 Lexus that is responsible for all of the smog in Los Angeles.
Oh gosh.
So, okay, so this is
It's
just
That
really
shit was
bad.
tainted before you got it. It was titties,
Oh my
right?
goodness, yeah.
it was.
Had like
I
6
mean,
DUIs
that dude
attached
had
to
a
it.
car that didn't he have a car that blew up on the freeway and like burned?
That was this girl he was dating.
Yeah.
He's not a week before that happened. She was like, "You think I'm going to turn it in?" And he's like, "No, go keep it."
Oh wow.
That shit blew up on the freeway. The next, he sent me a picture. It was just flames
Yeah.
on the
What?
101. And he was like, she was like, "What the?" He's like, "Sorry."
He said all
what
the
happened
smog,
was-
all the
Yeah.
smog in LA.
So 92 Lexus, right? This is 2018, right after. So this is the reason I talked about Elevated Remedies, because of what's about to happen next. So I pull in, I go two floors down in the garage, and I park in this corner, and I don't even think about it. I start working on the lookbook on my phone, because I have the Google Slides app. I'm like making some changes, and I fell asleep, and I woke up high as a kite. And this is like Mark that doesn't smoke, doesn't do anything that changes his anything. So I wake up, and I don't know how long I've been asleep, but my whole life I've had asthma, and I have very bad sleeping patterns. I wake up all the time. And I think that's what saved my life, because I was parked in there, all of that, the exhaust just going, filled up, and I wake up, and I don't even know which way is forward. Like, that's all I remember thinking. I was like, what the way is forward? What is going on? And then I realized what was happening. I turned the car off, and I ran outside, and I just started going, just get as much air I could. And I was messed up for I was like, do I go to poison control? I started calling, like, what do I do? And I went back to a friend's place or whatever. And I explained what happened, and I didn't feel right probably for like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
But that was one of the moments that was like, and that's one moment that I always look back on that I say like, I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be gone right
Carbon
now.
monoxide poisoning.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
serious.
So like, how long does it take? And then how long does it take based on where I was? I don't know how close I was, but it was close. It was Joe. I told you
I
not
barely
to.
touched you. I was thinking me. That was you. I wasn't even touching it.
Man, I'm glad you're telling your story instead of being part of history, brother.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But it would. But I think people would have
That's
been
why
like,
the damn table jumped.
Yeah.
It
it was like, hey, Mark, chill a little bit. No, but that was. But if luckily nothing happened. But people would have been like, man, that's poetic. Like, he just did this film where he's about to kill himself, and then in the car, and the same. It was like a whole thing. I was like, But that is another thing. When things get tough, it's like you're playing with the house money.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Thank you for telling that story, man. That
Yeah,
that was big of you, man. That's crazy, man.
That is crazy.
Definitely.
It's been a journey, man.
So okay, so I'm no, you go
sorry.
ahead.
I definitely have a question. How influential and supportive has your family been throughout your entire journey?
The most supportive they could ever be.
Nice.
That's the one thing I feel like I lucked out with the most, is because a lot of people get into acting and then their parents are like, get a real profession, go to college. Like I almost went to college to get a bachelor's in fine arts just because that's what everybody was talking about in 2005.
Right.
Not 2005, maybe 2004. It's like, you know, you have to go get a degree and figure out. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing with your life? I'm like, I'm going to Wright State University. They're like, oh, wow. Your parents must be so proud. And eventually I was like, no, man, I got to go to LA.
I know, right?
I got to go to LA where it's nice out, man. And,
Dead, dude.
but it could have been no matter what. I would do a music cover and send it to my mom and dad. Oh my God, this is amazing. It wasn't. You know? So I always had like undeniable support no matter what I did. But those are the things that allow you to push forward. People don't want to start because they don't want to look stupid. My whole track record looks stupid.
Well, you know what? I will tell you this right now because I saw a little bit about it and I was involved with this. Like we did that video at your old apartment. And I stole the whole video. But the problem, my point about this is this man in his journey, he was so stubborn in the beginning. You couldn't tell him anything. Like, no, you, I'm going to figure it out. And he still has that same drive. He's just chilled out on it. Like there's no way anybody was going to give him any notes. He's going to do it his way, and that's what he's going to do. And I've always respect that about him. Not because he's my dear friend, but that's how he was.
It takes that.
And then he looks back at it because he knew that video we did was shit.
Yeah, it was. The song is kind of catchy, but Joe stole the show.
Cool
I stole the show because he goes, "Hey Joe, you want to be a bodyguard?"
But he shows up. We started
The
improvising.
aesthetics was already there.
Yeah.
It was so funny. You had the line of the day that stole everything. He said, it was Big Will was there.
Yeah.
And you guys being bodyguards out front, and Teddy had his twisties in. And then Will goes, like, hey, was that Bob Marley's?
No, it said Lenny Kravitz or
Lenny
some
Kravitz,
shit.
yeah. Is that Lenny Kravitz? And then Joe goes, man, you can't tell that was a wig on that dude.
Fake ass wig on that dude.
And we just all died laughing.
It's a good tune.
Great tune.
It's a great tune.
What do you think about that Lenny Kravitz dude that came up here?
That wasn't him?
You really thought that was him?
We had the hair with us.
You couldn't tell that was a wig?
That was a wig.
Seriously. You couldn't tell that was a wig on that dude?
And that's the thing, is like we weren't afraid to try shit though.
Oh, yeah.
And
No,
you can look
for
back
sure.
at that. I hope people look at that. I always tell our clients now, I'm like, you won't make as many mistakes because I've already made them for you. I will tell you if your shit looks bad because I wish I would have been able to tell myself that shit looked bad.
And
However,
you couldn't tell him shit?
You couldn't.
You couldn't.
And here's the thing: there's like a duality with it, right?
You couldn't.
Because you still can't tell me shit. But
Make that clear.
But well, no, because when it comes to like,
No, for sure.
Here's the thing:
Respect.
before it was built on a formula that had no backing to it.
Right.
It was
Right.
like, no, I know what I'm doing, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I was doing something, and that could push you forward.
Right.
Now I know I don't know everything, and I'm like, I want to learn everything. I crave that stuff. But I also know not to take everybody's opinion, especially like I don't go to my mother now and be like, hey, which headshot should I choose for acting, right? And she's, they all look great, or like, this is great, but that's not what the casting is looking for.
Right.
So one of the biggest lessons is, who do you ask the questions for advice? Like, make sure those are people that you want. You're not just asking anybody. What do you think about this? What do you think about
True
that?
story.
That invention,
Facts.
that failed. It took me a year to fail and lose everything.
So true.
I am so grateful that I went on that journey and failed forward so I could have all the business knowledge and understanding how to articulate future business plans. But there was a moment where I was still waiting tables, and this guy, Craig, I was working with, that was like a nice dude, but he didn't know any better. And he was like, nah, that's a stupid idea. And I almost didn't do it because Craig thought it was a bad idea. But somebody didn't like the idea. Why the f am I going to care what Craig thinks? Does he work in toys? Is like his market millennials? Like, what? Who are you asking?
That's some real shit. Because I'm gonna have. I had a conversation with someone today, and I was talking about my journey and everything, where I've been. And when you talk about that, you know who got in the way? Who got in the way of Joe? Joe. And Joe was scared to make that jump. And I sit back and look at everything that happened and where my growth fat can happen and everything. And you were a part of that. You've been telling me for 10 years, dude, you need to do this. I got you. And then finally, all of a sudden, you're like, oh yeah, I wasted so much time around, doing this, hanging out here, doing that, and I was scared to get to the next level.
Look at Joe admitting he made a sacrifice.
But here's the thing.
I wouldn't say, no, that's not a sacrifice, that's growth.
Yeah. And here's the
Because I
thing.
found out what the I was doing.
You're willing to sacrifice something to grow
You know,
into the
that's
person
just
you
straight
are,
up
bro.
And
shit.
here's the thing. It's not wasted time. People would look at my whole 20s saying, you wasted all this time. You could have done this. You tried all of these different things that you weren't as good at as the major thing. I'm like, okay, well, I could look at it that way or say, thank God I got all my crazy drinking days out.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bring them back. Bring them back.
But I got to taste a lot of different things, try to figure different things out. I got better at what I was doing, and I could apply that to my future. We're gonna be alive for a long time, God willing. Yeah. So it's like we have all that. Why even look back? And it's not, for me, it's not wasted. Nothing is wasted. Timing is timing. And now you're about to blow the up. Now, thank God you have that because you can talk about it.
Well, see, I'm still longer in the tooth
Thank
than
you for
anybody in this
that.
room. So you say wasted time. To me, when I look back at it and I understand what you're saying, it was growth and everything else. I wasted time. I wasted years.
35% of your life. Some of it you wasted.
Yeah.
But because you wasted it, how much more dynamic or successful will your future be because you won't let that happen again?
Well, if you put it that way, you're fine. Yeah, I agree with you. But I'm
But
just
that's
saying
why
the way I
that's
look
a
at
wasted
this.
time. It's actually necessary time to allow you to get to where you want to go.
True.
You took a lot of trips to learn how not to fall.
And think about the long tooth statement. Think about the long tooth statement you made. I mean, you definitely learned a lot.
I've seen
on
it.
the
I
way,
learned it
bro.
all. I've learned a lot. And like I said, man.
This guy goes out to everywhere he goes. Everybody knows him.
Right.
Yeah, that long tooth.
That long
No,
tooth.
that's a good
That
thing or
long
a bad
tooth. You ever
thing
go to the dentist for
sometimes.
that long tooth?
I might need to do that, actually. That's a great point, mister. That's a great point, Marcus Aurelius.
How often are we supposed to go to the dentist? Once a year, twice a year, or once every 5?
It's supposed
Twice
to
a
be
year.
twice a year.
Okay, who
depending on
says
if you
this?
get
It's like
work.
the guy when he
Every
played
6 months.
blackjack. Oh, when you have the dealer. Well, the book says don't hit, and then you don't hit and get busted. Right there, buddy.
This guy has the best smile though. So how often do you go to the dentist?
Right.
Not often enough.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, every time I go, I'm like, I should have been here already, man. Why? You know?
We already talked. We're getting
We were talking about
cleanings
this out there.
this
Too many
next couple
boxing
weeks.
situations.
That's the thing about dentists. A lot of them are like mechanics. They're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you have
They're
this
just
wrong.
crooks,
It's like,
bro.
Yeah.
They're crooks.
Stuff.
Yeah,
You gotta
it
find one you
is.
believe in and you
trying
trust.
to rob us blind.
You you alluded to this earlier, and I wanted to touch back on it. Sundance. You said 2018. Is that what was your first experience? And,
First experience, yeah.
and then can you tell us a little bit about it? Like, is it an invite only? Like, what's the experience like? You know, for people that are listening that are
Tell
interested
us about the
in
dancing
it.
that goes on there.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah, we're actually thinking of a name for the documentary we just did.
Cool.
So we shot our whole experiences last year, which we did the first year.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so we talk about continuously stumbling upon different things. Like when we first did that elevated Remedies, we did the Detroit Film Challenge. It was like we were in New York. We did the New York Latino Film Festival, and that went really well. We started pitching some people, some other projects. We got to Detroit, and Dre Ray, one of our business partners at Paris Films, he was like, "Yeah, my mom said this thing about Detroit Film Challenge." I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like the final day,
Wow.
and then we went there. We went to New York Latino Film Festival, did well there. The next weekend we came home, we won that contest. Like, here's four tickets to Sundance Film Festival, and we only had 3 partners. So like, let's bring a videographer to showcase everything we're doing. So we documented that whole thing. It's on the internet as Taking Sundance. And what we learned from that was that if you're an aspiring actor, writer, director, producer, etc. in entertainment, Sundance is a great place to go and network, because when we got there, it basically removes all of the politics of the entertainment business of like, well, what you have a movie, well, what have you done? It's like, no, people are cold and they're forced to go inside and like talk to people.
Right.
So everybody's going like, it's almost like a trauma bond, you know, like
Of networking.
of networking. And if you go there and you're prepared, or even not prepared, just to go have the experience, you start building a family out there. So we went in 2018. We got our first deal ever for a film. We got optioned in 2018. So to do a short film, end up there, go in. It's not invite only. you can get your credentials to like go into the different Sundance things. But a lot of the stuff you just figure out how to get in.
Okay.
So it's a lot of RSVP stuff, but that don't mean if you don't have the RSVP, it doesn't mean you can't get in.
Right.
So we just started figuring out making friends, and then like also like photoshopping like invites on the phone and stuff, trying to mastermind the whole
That's
situation.
great, dude. I mean, I should go with you because I can't sneak in anywhere.
Yeah, but
I
here's
just
the thing.
don't. I just don't mingle in.
This time-
It's not gonna work out.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I spit positive fire and everything. I'm just telling you.
There's 3 ways to break Joe into a Sundance party. First way, I don't know if it will work. It worked for one of our guys. He had his camera. And I said, we couldn't get in the first night. I said, hey man, just go say that you're shooting for the event.
Yeah, 'cause
He
that's
walked
what it
up.
looks like I'm doing.
Yeah. Just walk up with a camera, and they're like, "Are you here?" You're like, "Yeah."
That's gonna work for me.
That's number one. If that
Did you
doesn't
see
work,
it now?
Cameraman.
He's gonna have the highest angles.
Hi guys, I'm gonna be your cameraman for the day. Okay, I'm gonna walk around. Could you imagine that?
Did you guys attach the camera
Outta
to
here.
a TV?
but here's the thing.
Number one,
So that's
yeah,
number
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Number 2, bring a ladder. If you're holding a ladder, people are like, "Oh, they're supposed to be
Get
here."
out of his
Wow.
way. Get out of his way.
And number 3, the other way is for you to walk in with one of your Jordan jumpsuits, and you hire 3 people to start taking paparazzi photos of you as soon as you walk up, and they're like, "No, let this guy in. He must be somebody."
Okay, hold on.
Because you are somebody.
I understand that, but hold on. The ladder reference blows my mind. What am I gonna look like? Hacksaw Jim Duggan walking around? Come on.
No,
and you
put
say
a
Jordan
dinky
suit,
suit on.
yeah, or dinky suit. You sitting there saying this, or so you say jumpsuit. Dude, what about the leather jacket or the suit?
Well, they might think you're about to just blow
Shoot
up the
the
place.
place.
No. I'm just gonna walk around. Hey, how you doing?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But you do really well there.
Hey,
No. We'll figure that out. That's
So, continue though, man. That's the Sundance.
Yeah,
man.
so that's Sundance, and that's the thing is that networking is a big part of any business.
No, of
I'm
course.
not the best at it because I'm like, I got to do the work. I have to figure this stuff out. But you have to meet new people, and a lot of people I hear say things like, I'm just gonna wait till I have a film in Sundance before I go there.
Right.
And somebody this time at Sundance, he said to me, we were talking about that very thing, and he was like, "Yeah, well, what do you think about Tom Cruise?" I'm like, "Well, he's great. It's a very successful career. How many films has he had in Sundance?" Like, 0. It's like, okay, well, Tom Cruise hasn't had any films. What if you have a very, you're just going to have this whole career or like whatever, and you're not going to go? You're not going to make time to go? And because you can have the most successful career in the world and never go there because you never had a film in there.
Right.
But what happens is you miss out on the biggest opportunity that's been for my career is that you prepare, you get your different ideas together, you go in as a producer first, and then you go there and you're going to bump shoulders with people in the industry that, like, our first deal, we're on the dance floor, like hanging out, all this stuff, and they're like, "Who are you guys? You guys are like," and they're like, "Oh, we have this film." Like, "Well, I have a $50 million slate. We're looking for films." Wow. It's like you got to be around the people that are going to give you the opportunities, and Sundance is a great way to meet those individuals.
Now, what are some of the other type of films and ideas that you have presented at Sundance?
So my whole thing is, I like to bring everything we're doing at Mastermind as far as using the internet strategically, right? So like any project I have, everybody has good ideas, but how are you going to set yourself apart, right? So if you do have a project, I always recommend creating a lookbook that showcases number one, what's your creative, and undeniable creativity where you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. And it also has all of these comparable films or TV shows that have also had success. And then the other thing is, why is this going to be a strong return on their investment? If you can communicate your strong creative and why they're going to make a lot of money, people will listen. Yeah. And then at that point, it's a numbers game. So we've done, like, when we do a Christmas film, it's not just a Christmas film that you'll see on Hallmark. It's like, how can you bring an edginess to it and bring some different IP and like build this thing that nobody's ever thought of before to say like, wait, what?
Right.
Or horror films. Horror films, psychological thrillers. There's 2 films that do well at the box office these days. It's these Marvel like superhero films and DC and all that, and then it's horror films.
Yes.
The reason horror films do well at the box office is because women like going to see them, and they bring either their boyfriend or their girlfriends because they want to go see it. They don't want to be scared alone.
Double the trauma.
So that's it. So with horror films, you could do a film for $1 million or less and have the return on investment of $250 million.
Right.
or get a streaming deal and make some money back and all that stuff too. So a lot of people try to make, oh, here's our $50 million piece. It's like, okay, cool. Here's a $50 million film. If you have a $50 million film in theaters, you typically put 20 to 25 million behind it in print and advertisement for marketing. So now the film has to make 75 million before you even see a penny after that, right? So if you have $1 million, if you have $1 million film, or let's say even Get Out was 4.5 million. They made it for 4.5 million. I think it's Sony. They put 25 million behind marketing, and then it made 127 million. I think that's what it was.
Oh, it's got to be more than that.
255.5 million.
That's for Get Out? Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's what it made.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about Paranormal Activity. The first one, they made that for 15.
The one I thought was real for a while.
They made the original one for Paranormal Activity for 15,000.
193.5 million.
What did?
Paranormal Activity.
Yes, that's the one. So I think I probably checked a couple years ago. But it's Paranormal Activity was done by Jason Blum, who owns Blumhouse now, who also did Get Out. Yeah. But they did, for 15,000, they did Paranormal Activity. They found it on LA Casting. They were able to have a great, success with it. They rewrote the ending, and then it just blew up because people thought it was real, right? That was the strategy behind it.
I remember the movie.
So how can you keep your costs down so that when you add print advertisement, your costs aren't too high that you'll never make any money?
Right.
So that's the thing. That's why we always think about low budget, high concept in everything we do.
Everything. Definitely, man.
Yeah. Simple and creative.
That's a lot of bankrolls they pulled in for that 15.
Yeah, man. And they parlayed that into like four more, right? Five more?
Oh, yeah. It kept going deep. It started getting, different race ethnicities going on in it. There was a Paranormal Activity in the hood.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen too much, man. Too much.
I think we can't leave without talking about. Let's do it. Put you on the spot again.
Please do.
Let's do top three movies. Any genre.
Any top
genre
three. Any
like.
genre.
I've seen some of your socials, so I know some things I've seen posted up on there. I just want to see if you're.
Go ahead. I want to hear this.
I know. I want to see.
I want to hear this.
I used to have.
I still remember I came to his apartment over there when he lived with Teddy.
And Magnolia Boulevard. I had movie posters on my wall.
Money on the walls.
Two for the Money is a great film.
Whatever. Catch me if you can. You got me. You're cool. Two for the money.
I wouldn't say top three still for that. I would say my favorite film of all time currently is Crash. I like Crash. I love Crash. I love the way.
Good film.
I love how they tied everything together. You know me, man. Like it's hard for me to watch all the Godfathers and everything.
No, you have no attention span. That's
I don't. We went to the track a few times.
Here comes another gambler.
I jumped on the bandwagon.
You can tell we're talking about when we went with Teddy to Morongo. That's the story.
I was gonna say we went to the Santa Anita and
whatever.
And we're betting on horses, and I was like, what do we do between betting?
Yeah, he was so bored.
I needed action.
He's an action junkie.
But the time we went to Morongo, Joe and I went out there with Teddy, and then
didn't we drop him off somewhere?
Well, he was with his girlfriend, or whatever, and we both lost. And we're like, let's go home. We're like, nah, it. Let's try to make a run back.
We made a run.
We both made like $600, $1,000.
We ran it back.
Yeah.
Blackjack.
That was fun.
That was a good time. So what's number two then?
Crash is probably number one for me. Number two,
Fight Club.
No. This is the end. Yeah. Have you ever watched This Is the End? It's not my favorite film.
That's a great one, though.
I brought it up on it. And I think it was like a Christmas episode. We talked about it. This is
the end.
Yeah, I love
Every
that
time
movie.
I smoke, I'm like, put on This Is the End. That's just hilarious. But I want to give like a good top three.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Good Will Hunting is up there.
I like that. Robert Williams.
I can't argue with that. That's a great film.
And
Affleck and the boys.
Another film that I didn't realize was up there for me until I was writing, and I took a lot from it. Was inspired by it because I like deep, dark, depressing shit.
I think we all do. That's part of that's all part of sometimes of being a Scorpio, the dark side.
Is that right?
Yeah, you know that.
Dark side.
Because I'm a bit like all of my. It's interesting because all of my comedy films, like Step Brothers, I'll watch every night.
Yeah, you love that movie.
But I wouldn't consider it my favorite
but
films.
you love that movie, yeah.
So the other one that I was really inspired by, based on some recent like writings and stuff that I've done, was Mystic River.
Oh yeah, that was
Oh,
dope.
hey, there you go.
What's
That's
his
some
name?
deep shit.
The guy from
Sean Penn,
Yeah,
Sean Penn, yeah, Tim Robbins, and
Tim Robbins is
Kevin
amazing.
Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon's
Yeah.
a G too.
There's some like twists, and I wouldn't say maybe that's my top three. I just need more time based on that. I should have a stronger like a strong top three I can go to.
I'm impressed. I'm
But the-
impressed.
Crash.
Yeah. But Crash for me
Crash.
was like the fact they were able to flip so many things and then also tie it nicely together at the end. I thought it was really dope.
Cast was fire.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just
Wasn't that like
Crash, Good Will Hunting, and
Mystic River. Yeah, two out of the three are in Boston.
So go get the copy. We'll be see your lineup here.
Yeah, what's your
Yeah,
three?
you're three.
Oh.
That's we all do it. We
we're
might as
all
well.
doing
We
it.
have
Okay.
fun with
By
this.
the time we get to the end, I might have two more.
You'll probably have 10 more.
Man.
Number one, I got to do a comedy.
You're not doing it. I like how he
Well,
says he
because I'm
has to.
gonna.
It's your top three, baby. It's whichever you want to do, Holmes.
You always call him baby.
No, I just wanted to say it. It's just fun. He can call me Poofy. I can call him baby.
That happened one time, brother.
I know. It's only gonna have one time. I'm just going with the flow. I'm having fun. Let me hear the three.
Yeah, come on,
Okay.
baby.
Yeah, it's funny.
Grandma's Boy. I'm a grandma's boy, so it just
That's
hits me. It hits
actually-
me in the
I
heart.
love that
I
film.
love that
I
movie.
love that film.
And I remember my parents
You
when I
know
had
what
it
it is,
on
brother.
with my aunt at the time, and my dad lost his shit when he sees it at Jonah Hill sucking on that titty the whole time.
Adios, turd nuggets. That was my.
I hate your face. So good. Have you seen it? Grandma's Boy, have you? Oh, I'm about to smoke tonight and
You
watch
guys need
it.
to watch that.
Yeah.
That's a great film.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
like-
funny.
Oh yeah, my
play
roommates. You know they.
The scene where they have the monkey driving them to the
Dude,
that is so
another
funny.
another comedy under the radar. Sex Drive. Sex Drive.
That was,
is that your
I
second
seen it.
one?
It was
Under the
cool.
radar.
Yeah, I like the cast in that too.
It was the
cool.
beginning for a lot
I
of people
remember
that
it, yeah.
got to get in the bigger roles and stuff like that. I'm gonna keep going.
All right.
40-year version.
So you're all
So you're
comedies right
comedy.
now.
Hey, that was shot across the
40-year
street.
version.
No,
Look
yeah,
at the Beppo.
you know that, right? It was
I did
Encino.
not know that.
Yeah, so there was a buy it at eBay store right on
Oh,
Ventura Boulevard,
really?
and it was across the street from where they built their whole thing to play like the tech store.
Oh wow.
Literally
So
across
you
the
like
street.
that? That's your
That's so
top.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so well done. I love that you put comedies in there. I'm always like, because I'm just attracted more to like the dark
Darker
stuff and
stuff,
like the
yeah.
writing and whatever. But comedy's hard.
Don't you
I'm
know
trying to
who-
laugh more.
Don't you know who this man is?
You talking about you?
No,
or
no,
him?
no. I said this man. Does that say?
Trying to
Did I
laugh
say my
more.
ass? P is inspirational and he's very funny and he likes a lot of comedies.
Yeah.
But
He's a funny man.
Oh, there's a but. Hold on.
one of my favorites, The Conjuring.
Oh, scary.
Yes.
Very
I love
nice.
that whole series and every film that came after it, the tie-ins with other films with it. Conjuring for sure.
Nice. Well, I'll slide mine quick. Interstellar,
Love it.
Yep.
Minority Report,
Minority.
Training Day.
Training Day. Yeah.
Ooh. You know
Yeah.
my last
I like Training
audition.
Day.
My last audition I
just
did
watched it
years
the other
ago. It's so good. It's so good. But one time my last audition I was for this movie. They couldn't tell me what it was for, and I'm like,
Oh, this
cool.
is a great story.
And I get the script. I get the size right, not the full script for the movie, just the size right, like 7 pages. And I'm looking at it. And I'm like, this is Training Day. Like literally with different names. They might have not even have changed the names. What was
Hawke.
it? Ethan Hawke's Jake.
Jake,
No, but what's Denzel's character's name? I forget.
I forget. That
They
too.
either changed the names or they didn't. But I'm looking at
Jake
this.
again?
Jake. Pelican Bay.
I can't even think right now.
show program.
Yeah.
I'm putting cases on all.
Yeah.
He's like yelling and all of a sudden he's like,
But I liked Minority Report, Tom Cruise, and then Interstellar. That's my favorite.
So so Training Day. So I get these sides for this audition. I'm like, okay. So I went and trained, like I was training, coaching with my friend. I was working at the Griddle at this time, waiting tables, and I worked on it that night. In the morning, I'm like, hey, this is my thing. He's like, hook me up. Like we worked on it. Then I go to the audition. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, this is Training Day. But they wouldn't give you the sides or the script from the actual film because it was all exclusive.
They don't do that
or like,
until you book the job. They can't
confidential,
give it
all
out,
this.
yeah.
But it was for like a big film, the lead of a big film. I think it was like Flash or something like that. And so I go in for the audition. I have to do Denzel Washington Training Day, but do it like me. Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell? So, but I do whatever I can and make it my own and all that. And
Right,
the girl,
for sure.
And the girl, and this is the reason I stopped auditioning. So I was like, I did the whole thing. She's like, all right, let's do one more. He gave me a note. I'm like, all right, cool. Started reading it again, doing my thing, and then she's like, can you hold on for 1 second? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm just chilling. 10 minutes, 15 minutes go by. I'm like, she finally comes back and she's like, just hold on, just another minute. It's good, I promise. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good, I'm good.
I'm chilling.
Then the other casting director, the main cast director, walks in and she's like, all right, can you let's read it again? And I do my whole thing. She goes, where are you from? I'm like Detroit, like blah 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 blah. She's like, all right, let's do one more time like this. And I'm like, all right, cool. Did it another audition, and she's like, all right, great, thank you so much. I'm like, all right, cool. I walk out, they start giggling. And it's either like little schoolgirls giggling or like you like it's
chuckles.
like you're funny, like get the out of here.
clown
But I
it.
thought it was, and then all of a sudden I get to the elevator and the girl runs out. The assistant, I forgot to ask to get your headshot. I was like, oh yeah, no problem, whatever. She's like, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. He walks out. Never heard nothing. How the f- are you supposed to live a happy life when that shit goes on regularly, right? Like, where you just
another
No,
embarrassing
you
moment.
sit there, you run it 15 times. They ask you this question. I've been out the door. They're running back to get me. We need to see you again. That happens a bunch of times. I remember one time I'm at the car. Hey, I don't know what the you just did in there, but then you got to go back. I go, you kidding me? Go back again? I mean, I've had all kinds of those scenarios. They sit there and chop it up with you.
It sound like she was acting.
This, you don't even know. You just do the work and just go on. You know, but I'm telling you, there's so many games in this shit.
Yeah.
It'll drive you nuts.
That's why it was like the final straw for me. I was like, no, I'm gonna start writing my own shit. You know. But wait, I want to hear you. Did you just say your top three?
I don't need to.
Training Day.
I don't need to say anything.
What do you
We
mean?
already know what
Godfather.
they are.
Godfather 2.
I mean, it depends. I mean, top three's hard.
Come on, man. I've heard you
Goodfellas?
say top three.
No, it's going to be Godfather,
for sure.
Shawshank.
That's a really good one.
Shawshank is one of the best films. And then, you know, I'll throw a little curve in there.
Old school?
What are you gonna say?
Like an
Grease?
actual
No,
old school
not
or an old school?
I'm gonna
I like
throw,
old school.
Give me a minute on this. I know because I have a bunch I could throw. I just want to throw a really good curveball.
Crybaby?
Because you always talk about this damn movie. I want to hear you say it.
Do I really?
Anticipation's killing me.
Big Lebowski.
Wow.
What did you think I was going to say?
Big Lebowski.
No,
You thought he
you
was
didn't.
gonna
You
say
would
that?
have no, don't lie to me, Lance. You would have been a
So
little.
I thought he was going to talk about a Nick Nolte movie that he always
Yeah, there
brings
you
up.
go.
So,
48 hours.
Let me pose a
48.
question.
No, hold on. Now he's right. So that's why I say 3 is tough. But
You
dude,
started this.
I know.
Podcast, right?
But 48 hours, both of them are
All right,
phenomenal.
I'm gonna give you 2 films. You got to tell me which one the ComPODres think is better.
okay.
It's not collective. You
Is
can
it
do
either
individual.
Lethal Weapon or Die Hard? Because
No,
someone
no,
still
no,
hasn't watched that.
No.
No, you saw Lethal Weapons, right?
No. He specifically said he still has not
I
seen
thought
it.
he said he saw it. Whatever. I was probably making mojito
All right,
mix.
two films. Which one's better?
Let's hear this.
Forrest Gump or the Titanic?
Forrest Gump by
Which one?
far.
Which one is better and why?
You start. and
I
then I'll
haven't
go.
even watched the whole Titanic. That's just no. Are you kidding me? I ain't
Get
got
outta
time for
here.
that shit.
That's the third most
Forrest
gross
Gump's
film in
great.
the world.
Okay, cool.
I go Forrest Gump. I think the metaphors and like
Yeah.
the different things that happen in the movie, it just was more compelling to me.
The man had a code ending, but the Titanic.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
Hey,
they
hey,
could both survive.
hey, they should
Slide
have.
over to the
Hey,
side, girl.
Girls
Hey.
pose, and Leo's
hey,
pose.
the thumbnail got to be Joe holding him like this.
Oh no.
You know what's great, man? When you say that right now, I think of Steve Harvey from Kings of Comedy when he blows the shit up.
Doesn't he go like this? Like, you talk about
Hey, when
that?
he go, we just support the band's playing when the ship's going down. Cool the game with let's get the out of here.
Isn't he talking about holding a napkin and sort of blowing at it?
Women and children first.
That shit was brilliant, man.
See, that was brilliant. But no, that's a good question. But I'll tell you what movie I should have said was Gladiator. Both of them were badass.
American Gladiator or actual Gladiator? Jai Ma, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I said, are you not into
I mean, we could do that. We could do this all day. I mean, I was just top three though.
I love it though.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's tough. It tells a lot about a person.
right, and it's right in your feels at the time, right?
So you got to break it
Switch it
down
up all
though,
the
really,
time.
because you got to go romantic comedies, you got to go romance, you got to go thrillers, you got to go dramas.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Best romantic comedy in the game.
That's funny.
Matthew McConaughey and what's her name? Her mother is Goldie Hawn. Her name
Oh
is.
yeah, no, I remember the movie. I just when you say 10 days, it's a personal thing with me that
starts with the
Kate
makes
Hudson.
me smile.
Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is brilliant. I think
What's the one with Claire Danes and
where she gets
I
stuck
just like I told
overseas? Where she gets stuck overseas?
No, the one that it's like they're in high school. I thought you were talking about that one.
Oh, is that like the
No, dude, I
Romeo
can't believe
Must
you
Die
just
or
said
something?
that. Mark, I can't believe you just said that because when you say 10 days, it fucking registers a different thing in my brain.
Why?
That's
What's
a
yours?
Beautiful thing. I ain't going to get into it. I'm just going to leave it at that.
We got time.
No, it's fine. It's
What are
a
you talking
beautiful
about?
thing. Just let it go. That's all I have to say.
10 days. Is this something I know about?
No, absolutely not.
All right, well, we got time.
You don't know my whole life.
Joe's
Get the out of here.
Joe's Corner right
Joe's
now.
Corner right
Come
now.
on. This is the good shit.
Oh, you know my Joe's Corner right now.
Yeah, we got.
So what I want to do though, since you just gave it to me, I want to give a shout out to my boy David Marple.
Hey.
Okay.
That's right.
Everybody in Salinas knows who the Bull is and who he is. I grew up with the man. He's a great friend. He's a great artist. He's got great material. I mean, I got Lance the Man over here sporting it. I'm sorry, P, I didn't get you one because it
all
was a little
good,
too
brother.
small. But
You've been swimming
go
in it,
ahead,
brother.
go ahead and do me a favor. Check him out at marpleart.com. He's got his whole shop there, and also on the gram at Marple Art on his gram and his Facebooks, and he's also at the Bowl Gallery. So go ahead and check him out.
Dope.
Get some merchandise. Do your thing. He's a great man. So,
gallery.
David, I love you, brother. Thank you for sending me the shirts.
Love
sure,
that.
man.
This
Appreciate
is
you,
another.
man.
This is another episode of Joe's Corner. Corner.
Joe's Corner.
I'm so interested in the 10 days. Give me a little something.
I ain't giving you shit about it.
How about this?
That's for Rizot to know.
Here we
That's
go.
it.
Here we go. He says this blush no.
Damn.
I'm just gonna hydrate.
You thirsty ass motherfucker.
He gonna
I was gonna
quench that fire.
Right. I was gonna say, where can they find you, especially on YouTube right now? The podcast you just started. Let's give it a little shout out, bro.
Let the
Yeah.
compadres
Thank
at home
you.
know all your projects that you got going on,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
He ain't got that much time. He's got a list.
Let's get it going.
We'll narrow the
Rodriguez
list.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rodriguez
dope.
project is something I've wanted to do for a long time. When I first moved here, my first agent, who Joe hooked me up with, remember that?
Passed away too.
She did, yeah.
She's a sweet lady.
Her daughter's still pushing it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is when you move here and you trust the business to kind of like tell you what you need to do to get booked. I had a moment where I started using my middle name as my last name, Mark Allen. And I never fully felt like myself. But the reason was because you're going to walk into rooms and you're going to walk in as this white dude and be like, Rodriguez, what the are you? Especially in like Southern California, right? It's like, it's different. So I went to I was Mark Allen for like the next 5 years and Mark E. Allen trying to figure out who I was. And eventually went back to Mark Rodriguez, which I've always loved my last name. And I have so much history in my family of being
Right.
creatives and stuff.
Right.
And, but it, some might say I wasted that time. I look at it as thank God I had that. So I
Right.
have the proof to know that that's not me. And once I made that transition out, now it's like the Rodriguez project is me sharing my transparent truth and the ups and downs of my life, but also bringing people on to share theirs and like sometimes laughing for 2 hours, sometimes just like informing people about whatever it is in the world. And I'm really excited about it because it's something I wanted to do for a long time. And it really is like the foundation of everything I do. So the Rodriguez Project is on YouTube and everywhere you can find it on podcast form, and then Mark Rodriguez TV everywhere. And then, of course, Mastermind with a Y-M-Y and the media, sports, and music everywhere you can find it.
Man.
Yes, y'all heard it. Make sure y'all follow everything, subscribe to everything, and like everything.
Great content.
Everything.
He got a little fire today. He
great-
got a little
great
fire.
You know what that
Yeah.
reminded me of? One of my favorite rap songs ever. Renegade. Jay-Z, Eminem. Anything.
Yeah, that one's a challenge because a lot of people say somebody, burned somebody else on the song.
What do you mean? It's hard to say. Of course he did. I always say you got the Detroit hat on right there. Whose song is it? Whose song is it?
Right. It's Jay-Z's and he got
Jay-Z.
bodied by him.
It was on the blueprint.
True story.
I think Jay-Z would even back that up.
he would. I think he threw a throwaway verse out there and didn't expect the white boy to kill it like that.
Body
said,
bag.
"Whoops."
That is
That
a
one.
good song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah, okay. Top 3?
No, I mean, I'm surprised 8 Mile's not your top 3. Being
What's
from
that?
Detroit,
You
8
thought 8
Miles
Mile?
should be in your top 3,
8 Mile,
both of you.
8 Mile's
I
brilliant.
mean, it is beautiful.
My
Brilliant,
bas-
but
my-
nah.
My basketball coach growing up, he's the guy that's dancing with Brittany Murphy in the club, talking about
No, that's really,
my boy Rocky. What's up, Rocky? Man, he's a brilliant producer in Detroit. Do some great things. But yeah, he was in there. Just,
That was a
you
funny
know.
cameo.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
man.
sir.
It's been all love, bro.
Can't thank you enough for being
Man.
here with
Blessing
the
us,
compadres,
man.
brother.
Thank you for having me, man. It's
Many
been
more,
great.
bro, to
For
come
real,
for sure. This is the
compadres.
first part 1. So
Hey.
All right, compadres, you know what to do. That's at ComPODres. And as always, it is your host, SB Press. To my right, Lance the Man himself.
I am _ill son.
And to my right, Rizat himself.
How you guys doing? It's Rizat and Hizat. And just remember, have a beautiful day. Thank you.
And like that, compadres,
where we just-
we go.
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quit. Yeah, gotta keep on moving no matter how hard.